Welcome to my channel. I'm out on site and I'm doing all kinds of carpentry related jobs for a good mate of mine. And one of the jobs was to make a little door panel effectively and a little lining for a service cupboard, which is going to get wallpapered. So we're using what we call a ply flush door. When I did my apprenticeship, these were the doors which we seem to use up and down the land in new builds effectively, just plain flat. They were made of ply, they're hollow, which is kind of like an egg box construction. And we used to always trim them off with the carpet, cut the bottom off, and they'd be hollow. So what we had to do was make the bottom solid again. And I just thought this is something that a lot of people might encounter if you're doing some work around the house or you're trying to replace a door panel. You're going to use something like this, you're going to cut it down and you need to put the bottom back in. So this is what this video is about. I'm going to simply cut the door and pop the new piece of timber back in, glue it up, and away we go. So the first job is obviously measure the length. In my case, it's 1,532 millimeters, and I'm going to mark that on there. Now you can cut these with a regular circular saw if you're really competent. You can even use a hand saw if you haven't got one of those. I'm going to use a rail saw because I have one. A rail saw just means it's going to be chip free, it's going to be super accurate and exactly where I want it. So with the rail saw, I'm just going to clamp it straight onto my lines here. You can actually, it's got a friction base so it won't move, but if you're doing anything like this, you don't want to get it wrong. Pop a clamp on and you've got half a chance of not making an error. So I've got my stools here, and on my stools I have got a couple of little bits of batten. The batten keep the blade from hitting the stools and also support the offcut as well. So we'll clamp this on and we'll give it a cut. Check my measurements. It's a golden rule, isn't it, to always make sure you check your measurements. Fine, let's get it cut. Right, let's get some ear defenders on. And so I've set the blade just to a little bit deeper than this. We've got a little batten underneath so I don't cut into my stools. And away we go. We'll use a bit of dust extraction on here. You'll see how easy it is to cut. So I was talking about it being an egg box construction. So that's basically what it is. You can see they have a softwood rail either side or a stile. They have a hardwood lip in, and then everything is cleverly bonded together. And believe it or not, they're super strong and super flat. So what we need to do is actually take a section like this and replace it in the end. So what we do is basically push these in like this. And then what we take is a section of timber and we make sure that it fits exactly in there and we glue it back in. And that is basically it. It's a super simple job, easily to do. Obviously with a rail saw you don't get any chipping and it's super straight. So the next job is to make the bottom ready for a piece of timber. So we can unclamp this now. Don't need this anymore. Greatest invention ever, rail saws. The clamps cleverly slide inside, which is pretty genius. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is prepare that bottom just using a chisel. Just going to push in the egg boxes a little way. And then make sure there's no big spots of adhesive which is going to hold everything apart. So it's just here. I want to take a quick measurement now. .28mm. So I've got a little bit of softwood here, which we need to run down to 28mm. Lovely edge. Now loads of glue. Loads of glue you want in there. Just loads of it. It'll all push in. Now the key is here is just to knock it in and leave it perfectly flush with the bottom of the door. Get my hammer, give that a little tap. If you use a block, when you tap it up, it's only going to go as far as the ply, which is flush. And you want to work all the way along. There we go. And that is basically how we do a shortening of a ply flush door. Such a satisfying thing to do. And that is it. There's nothing more to it. I just used a scrap of timber to make it up. And that is it. We'll just let that go off now. So this is the door actually in situ. Excuse the lighting, it's a bit poor in here. But anyway, so what I've got there is a lining which I've trimmed back 3mm and put a plaster bead on, so it can be filled. It's all bonded back, and then when they wallpaper, they can paper straight down and just put a cut at the door here. And it will have a touch latch on it, so I set the stop back 3mm as well. But that's basically it. That's the ply flush door or hollow core door. Most interior doors are like that, so if you're gonna cut them down, piece of cake. Just do what we did in this video and you can't go wrong. But there you go, all done.